Tim just jumped on there. Hey, Tim, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Tim Wade.
And gosh, so we are kind of. I think we're still on. By the way, on Gary. Gary is like probably allowing us to go a little bit farther than we normally would of tonight.
Okay.
But first of all, I want to thank Gary and let everyone know at the UFO I-Team broadcast that Gary now his shows are going to be beginning at 7 p.m. on the weeknights. So you can go to 7 to 9 p.m. On Night Dreams Talk Radio to listen to Gary Tombstone Anderson and all the wonderful guests that he is accumulating on the show. Literally, folks, he is garnering now to over 200,000 viewers per show.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive from just starting relatively, actually 1 year ago. His anniversary was September 3rd. So we want to give a shout out to Gary and congratulate him for being on the air for only 1 year and still garnishing all of these worldwide audience. Over 40% of his listeners are in the UK and West Europe. And we even have some, obviously, in the Eastern Bloc countries because we get emails that we can't even understand, but they seem to be good ones. So thank you very much for all of that, Gary. And he's going to have a wonderful show after hours tonight. So please just stay tuned and listen to Gary's guest as he goes on from 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And by the way, a new thing is developing. As of October 1st, it will not be Night Dreams Talk Radio, but we're going to call it Night Dreams Radio.
Oh, we got that.
Yeah, he got that new moniker out there, and I think it's very smooth. I like it, Night Dreams Radio.
Gary's saying I moved the guest so I can go to 7:15.
What a guy.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Gosh, what a guy. So we'll go as long as you keep us on here, buddy, because we are now, I think, going to really get into some details here. First of all, thank you for all of that detail there as far as the information that you're getting, about some of what's going on that seem to kind of coordinate with some of the things that we've experienced. Now, are there others that want to kick in on their experiences since Mount Adams that would be relevant or interesting for people to hear?
Who was that? Mary was there.
I was there for one night, and I talked about that before, how the car battery died overnight.
Your car battery died?
My car battery died.
And that would have been on Sunday night.
Sunday night, yeah.
Yes, that would have been the 26th.
Mm-hmm. On Sunday night, but I left Monday before the night that you guys had your experience.
As did I.
I wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We wonder then if the hypnotherapist needs to be hypnotized herself, along with Stephanie, in separate events, just to see if. Now, by the way, have we thought about doing this? Have we kind of thought about the idea of potentially coming up with some therapy sessions for folks to get regressed?
I would like more clarity on what I can remember and what happened. Also, not just the night of the Mount Adams incident, but when I was at East City, I suspect that maybe something happened that night. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Somebody else was talking about wanting to have therapy with you. Who was
that? Yes, several people talked about wanting it, and nobody has contacted me to set up an appointment.
I've been wondering if
I
should or if I should wait for you to talk in person. We can talk after this broadcast.
Okay. Yeah.
By the way,
what about you, Michael?
Yeah, so I'm there. I've already talked to Mary about this. We need to schedule a time.
Okay.
And I know producer Dan would like to do that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Regarding the whole production.
That's a little trickier because they're down in Salem.
Yes, they're a little far away,
yeah.
But I think he probably is going to end up coming up here relatively soon. So we'll work on that.
Mary, how long were your sessions?
It just depends. It depends on, how long the induction is going to take to get people really relaxed. And sometimes it takes a long time to get the initial flow of information started. And then it ends when it ends, when they don't, aren't able to pull anything further during that
record
session.
the sessions?
hmm
Are they also videotaped?
I don't videotape them.
Okay,
I just record them
okay.
because I don't have a way to videotape them
Your
really.
phone.
Oh, so if we
Yeah,
have
that's true,
that
but-
capability, we could allow someone to do that if they were comfortable with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I guess I could use my phone, but I don't know that,
Okay.
We can
I don't
figure
know
that
how
out
long
if
of it-
possible.
yeah.
didn't
I
know
think it would be
if,
very fascinating for people
I put it
to see what might come out
Yeah.
or what might not come out. So in other words, we need to set aside a good 2 hour, maybe longer block of time
Yes,
if we're going to do this.
mhm.
Okay.
All righty?
Especially for the initial one because we have to go over some, paperwork and do a lot of discussion before we start.
Yes. And of course, Mary Kennedy, our certified hypnotherapist, was trained by Dolores Cannon
Yeah.
and Bruce Terrell.
and Bruce Terrell. These are very famous teachers of the process and very interested in UFOs and the paranormal. So
Yeah.
we are pleased to have you in the group,
Hey.
Mary, to be able to have that level of expertise in our group.
And you also have another hypnotist in the group, Tish Lee.
Tish Lee.
Oh.
Yep. And she has a different style. Hers is more spiritually focused, and it's we've done sessions for each other, and her technique is very nice for getting some clarification or answers or healing.
She's more of a mystic.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally different technique, but also very
But she's trained.
yes, she's
That's for sure.
certified,
Is
and
Trish online?
she's at the fair today.
Yeah.
Oh,
With her
oh, that's
grandkids.
right. Okay.
Well, I have a nephew.
Doing the Puyallup.
With her grandchild.
My nephew-in-law has had missing time. I mean, could he do a regression?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll let him know.
Yeah.
When he was a youngster, and it kind of sent him into an obsession about ufology, and I didn't know this until it was at my mom's birthday party, and he actually wants to be on the show. He wants to tell a story, and
Right.
How
Oh,
old is he
my
now?
nephew-in-law, he's about 30.
okay.
We talked
But it was so
about
funny. We were just talking. He goes, "How's the UFO thing going?" Because basically, my nephew-in-law does the sound and work with our first film guy. They work together at
Oh,
Quest Field. He
Okay.
does the sound for
Oh.
Quest Field and for the Mariners or the Safeco Field. And tonight I was going to call him tonight, but he's setting up for a Sounders game tomorrow. So, but I saw my niece today. She says, "Yeah, when's Max going to be on the show?" And I'm like, "Well, I haven't even talked to him since Saturday." But he definitely wants to tell a story. So,
Well, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so by the way, I just have another thing to check in with as far as developments from me from Mount Adams potentially. And I've shared this with Mary. So Mary knows about this really interesting thing that happened to my shoulder. I don't know if everyone else knows about
No.
it yet.
I didn't share it.
Okay, so she's so confidential.
I
Thank
know. I
you
was
for
going to
that,
say
Mary.
you can rely on Mary. If you tell her confidentially, she'll keep it.
So at one point, here's an interesting scenario. I get through the operation fine on Monday. Tuesday, which is September 11th, by the way, 9/11. Without any kind of warning, I go into atrial fibrillation,
Oh,
Hmm.
I didn't know.
which is where your heart just starts
well,
fluttering.
you have AFib, but it probably went into fast AFib. Let's clarify.
There you
that.
go. Okay,
Sorry,
thank you.
but we have a
The respiratory
technologist here.
therapist is telling me
That's
exactly
bad.
what it was.
Regular AFib's okay. Fast
Yeah, yeah.
AFib's bad.
No, the doctors were a little shocked. They're going, "What happened?" And I told them, "Well, I've been in AFib before.
Uh-huh.
It's basically the last time I was there was because of a problem with my kidney shutting down. My heart goes nuts, at that point. But this time there wasn't any real explanation for it, other than the fact that I had just had bariatric surgery the day before. But all my vital signs were fine for some reason after the operation.
Yeah.
But what I figured out was, after the fact, I went into AFib exactly 15 days after
Oh.
the missing time
Right.
incidents that I experienced in Mount Adams,
Interesting.
which is not anything interesting until you know that in 2012, 15 days after I suffered another missing time episode and took an actual photograph of this
Oh, yeah.
craft that I think I saw hovering over my house
Yeah.
that really didn't happen at the time I thought I saw it. 15 days after that, I check into the hospital thinking I'm having a heart attack.
Okay.
So that was kind of weird and synchronicity. 15 days after a traumatic event.
Yeah, half a lunar cycle.
So that
Very
was-
nice. I like it.
It's half a lunar cycle.
That leads me to ask, has anybody else out there gone through a 15-day cycle after missing time?
Good question. And we're going to have to talk with Sam, sounds like.
I think she on
And,
her way in. She's driving.
Oh, okay. Maybe she's on her way. We can
Yeah.
ask her. But let me finish the rest of the story because it's
Yeah.
even more weirder than that. Okay, so because I go into AFib on 9/11, they come in with the old EKG machine and they slap on all the leads on your arms and chest and everything. And one of the leads they put on either shoulder, and then two of them on either thigh, and a bunch of others and stuff. And it's a very quick.
10 leads. Yeah, 10.
Okay. Yeah, very, very quick procedure. It only took about, 5 minutes or so. Very painless. There's nothing, you just do it. It's over. And then they give the readout to the cardiologist just to double check, see how you're doing. They didn't seem too alarmed other than the fact they gave me a intravenous dose of metoprolol,
Yeah.
which seemed to settle my heart down,
Just slow it down, yeah.
which is nice because I didn't have to get cardio.
They didn't shock.
Didn't have to shock it, which I've
No, they
had
don't.
shocked before, and it's kind of like,
I would
They
not like
wouldn't do it
that.
after surgery.
you don't know about it because you're totally
Oh, that's
out
right.
of it. But it is kind of uncomfortable to deal with the paddle strain and stuff after you wake up. So anyway, the very next day, no, it wasn't the very next day. I go home the next day.
Tuesday?
They sent me home on Wednesday.
That's pretty
Okay.
quick.
Right after I was in AFib, they figured, it didn't look like it's too bad. You settled right down, so we're sending you home with a bunch of directions on what to do. And so I get to take my first shower, post-operation shower, finally when I get home. And boy, that feels good. Oh, man.
Like an after-tapping shower. Huh?
And, I got like 7 puncture wounds in my stomach, with these things they put in you to do all this laparoscopic, operation, the whole thing. And I got steri strips all over the top of them. I'm not supposed to scrub them, just let the water run off. But I noticed that I had on the shoulder, my right shoulder, I have this big old honking bump exactly where the lead was on that shoulder.
Oh.
Exactly. Because I remember watching the lady put the lead on and thinking, oh, she's putting it right over a previous wound that I had had.
What do you mean a previous wound that you had?
I'm glad you asked that question. Because
Jeff, the interviewer.
yes,
She catches on to the very
2
part of it.
years before, no. Well, yeah, it would have probably been 2 years before, I think, when I had an eruption again at this side of my shoulder after an EKG. You guys probably remember telling you about it a while back, but normally the folks at my Monday night meeting back at the Macuphon group were the ones that I shared it with.
Yeah.
But I had this.
Night Dreams, Scary Story Night on Friday nights. Call in at 9:30 p.m. Pacific at 1-255